Hello, welcome back to CBSE Board Economics. I'm Saddam Hussain. Today in this video, we will be discussing a very important topic, that is the sample paper. Discussing about the sample paper, not discussing about the questions and giving you answers. I'm sure your teachers must have discussed in the school about the latest sample paper for this year, that is 24-25, compared to previous year's sample papers. How is it different this year, the board exam, from previous years? The syllabus is same, the topics are same, the chapters are same, but only the difference I feel is earlier they used to ask you a direct question. For example, they used to ask you a question about multiplier, investment multiplier K. What is investment multiplier? Explain it with the help of an illustration or a numerical example. But the same question this year, instead of asking you directly what is investment multiplier, they give you a paragraph saying that the government has invested in a metro project in Delhi, something like 1,000 crores, and the MPC in the economy is 0.5. So they might ask you a question like what impact it has on the economy, or how does it increases the GDP? Explain. The answer is same, but only the thing is you have to read the passage. So most of the questions, 99% of the questions in the sample paper revolve around a paragraph or some passage from a newspaper cutting or something where you have the question. So what I suggest you for this exam is carefully read the question paper, carefully read the topic, carefully read the passage given to you, think over it, what it relates to, and answer. The answers should be same, brief as you can, instead of beating the bush. So let's see a few of the questions, because it's not easy to discuss the entire question paper or the sample paper in one video. It's going to be a quite lengthy video. So we will be discussing few questions from the sample paper over a period of time in different videos. So listen carefully, understand, and then go to the exam. Well, I advise you one thing here. In this paper, the students who make selective study, maybe some important questions, no, they won't be able to do any justice. They won't be able to do well. So still, you have plenty of time. Read as much as you can. Understand. Understanding of the subject is very important this year than doing rote learning. Then learning some important questions. Understand all the topics, whether it is welfare, whether it is real GDP or nominal GDP. Understand why do we measure real GDP? Why do we do nominal GDP? How they are different? Then think analytically and you will be able to answer. Let's go ahead. We'll discuss the sample paper. It is lying in front of me. I'm sure you all must be having this sample paper, but now carefully follow the points which I give you. Today we'll be discussing a few questions. So this is economics. 030 is the code, class 12, 2024-25, sample question paper. Time as usual, you have 3 hours and the maximum mark is 80, and the 20 marks you have it for your project work. General instructions. So before going to the examination, keep this in mind. You don't have to waste time. They give you some reading time So what are the general instructions you have? Number one, this question paper contains two sections. Section A, macroeconomics. Section B, Indian economic development. Here I'll suggest you, if you're starting with macroeconomics, please finish macroeconomics first. Answer all the questions in macroeconomics at one go. You can change the order, but don't change section A if you started with section A. Don't write one question of macroeconomics and then another from Indian economic development and then macro. It irritates the examiner. Don't do that. Either you finish macro first or finish Indian economic development and then go to the next part. So section A, macroeconomics. I suggest you start with macroeconomics because you can finish this part easily without writing too much. Section B, Indian economic development. This is section B. So that means macroeconomics carries 40 marks and section B, Indian economic development, also carries 40 marks. General instructions 2. This paper contains 20 multiple choice type questions of 1 mark each. So this can be anything, fill in the blanks or multiple choice, or they might give you a phrase or paragraph and you have to pick up the answer from that. Don't write too much, just write a sentence or so, or a word, maybe that's enough for this 1 mark question. Then you have, this paper contains 40 short answer type questions of 3 marks each to be answered in 60 to 80 words, maybe 3-4 sentences. Don't write more, write to the point as briefly as you can instead of just beating the bush. So this is for 3 marks, 60 to 80 words. Then you have 4. This paper contains 6 short answer type questions of 4 marks each to be answered in 80 to 100 words, maybe 5 lines or 6 lines, 80 to 100. This is, they carry 4 marks each, not much, right to the point. And the last one you have part 5. This paper contains 4 long answer type questions of 6 marks each to be answered in 100 to 150 words. This is the lengthiest answer you have. You don't have to write in pages and pages, maybe a paragraph. Keep one thing in mind, when you answer in the board exam, don't answer them in a paragraph form. Answer all the questions in points 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though there are no points, you create the points yourself. It becomes easier for the examiner while he's evaluating the answer sheets. Don't write just in a paragraph, okay? And write it in points. So let's start with section A, macroeconomics. So the first question you have, this is just for 1 mark. I'll read out. They started with the first question you have. This is assertion and reasoning questions. I'm sure you must have practiced a lot of assertion and reason questions. I'll read out. Read the following statements. In the exam also you read carefully. Assertion A and reason or. Choose the correct option from those given below. We have to choose it. Assertion A. The government can reduce the deflationary gap by purchasing government securities in the open market. The government can reduce the deflationary gap by purchasing government securities in the open market. When you are reading this sentence, just think in your mind, is it a right statement or assertion or wrong? Don't read the entire thing and then come back. You get it in your mind. The government can reduce the deflationary gap by purchasing government securities in the open market. So this assertion or statement is false, wrong. Why? Because, see, this is what I'm analytically thinking in my mind. Why? Because inflationary and deflationary gap in the economy are controlled by the central bank. That's the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. The government has no role to play in it. The government has got limited role. This is only for your understanding, I'm telling you. The government deals with the fiscal policy, not monetary policy. That is taxation and public expenditure, public revenue and public expenditure. Here they're saying the government can reduce the deflationary gap by purchasing government securities in the open market. You recollect, government buying and selling of government securities in the open market are done by the central bank, RBI, not the government. So this statement is wrong. Just get it in your mind. This is for your explanation. I'm spending so much time, but don't waste so much time in the exam. Reason or. So reason or, you have to think in your mind, is it justifying the assertion or not? That we'll discuss. The central bank purchases government securities in the open market to increase the lending capacity of commercial banks. The central bank purchases government securities in the open market. Okay, this is right. The central bank does all this. Buying and selling of government securities, I just told you. The assertion is wrong. The government purchases government securities in the open market to increase the lending capacity of commercial banks. This reason is absolutely true. It's right. So here, why? Because the government purchases government securities in the open market to increase the lending capacity. So when there is deflationary gap, the government should put more money into the economy. That the central bank does by buying government securities in the open market, so that the commercial banks will have more money to give it as loans. So here now we go to the options you have. After getting it in your mind, now already we got it. Number one, that is the assertion is false, but the reason is true. That you got in your mind. Let's read the options and see which is the right one. A. Both assertion A and reason R are true, and both assertion A and reason R are true. This is wrong. And reason R is the correct explanation of assertion A. We already seen that assertion is false, but reason R is true. So this is not the answer. B. Both assertion A and reason R are true. This is also a wrong statement, but reason R is not the correct explanation of assertion A. So both A and B options are wrong. C. Assertion A is true, but reason R is false. This is also wrong. Assertion A is false. Last D. Assertion A is false, but reason R is true. This is the right statement. Because here reason R is not justifying anything to assertion. So you tick mark the fourth one in the exam. D. You write this answer complete. Assertion A is false, but reason R is true. This is just for 1 mark. So you can imagine we spend so much time, maybe 5 minutes on this, but don't do that in the exam. Read it quickly, fastly, get the answer in your mind, and just write D. Assertion A is false, but reason R is true. Because this just carries 1 mark. If you're wasting too much time, you won't be able to complete the paper. Question number 2. Let's see. The cabinet led by Prime Minister has decided that the central government will provide free food grains to 81.35 crore approximately beneficiaries under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana PMGKAY for a period of 5 years with effect from 1st January 2024. So this is a statement. It has nothing to do. Just read it and get the thing in your mind. Based on the aforesaid statement, identify the budgetary objective of the government is trying to achieve and choose the correct option. You have to choose. You already done the chapter budget, its objectives. So we have seen already the objectives of government. Number 1, reallocation of resources. Number 2, redistribution of income. Number 3, reducing inequalities of income or something. 4, price stability and economic stability. Let's see this statement they're given you and what objective is coming very close to that. So here government is providing food to poor people. They're given some figures. It is irrelevant for you. You just have to see what objective is fulfilling. The number 1, the reallocation of resources. No, it doesn't do with the reallocation of resources means putting more resources to underdeveloped regions, that is SEZ, so that they can develop that regions. economic stability, nothing to do. It's not economic or price stability. C, redistribution of income. Yes, this is the right answer, because when we provide schools, hospitals, food, grains to poor people, we can reduce the inequalities of income. We can uplift them. D, economic instability. So it has nothing to do with the other three, only redistribution of income. It's just 1 mark. Don't waste too much time reading the passage and think about it. You have to go fast. Don't waste on these passages. Earlier, they never used to give this kind of passages. Question number 3. To arrive at the value of gross value added at market price, GV at MP, must be added to gross value added at basic prices. Basic prices means factor of cost. So the simple question is, how do you come to GV at market price from GV at factor cost? We already know. From factor cost to go to market price, we just have to add NIT, net indirect taxes. That's the answer. We have to add. Let's see the options. A, product taxes. No. B, net product taxes. So they have used the word net product taxes, that is net indirect taxes. This is the right answer. C, production taxes. Nothing to do production taxes. They give you irrelevant words. D, net production taxes. So these are not production taxes. This is actually net indirect taxes, NIT. They are given you your net product taxes. And one more question we'll discuss because the video will get lengthy. 4 questions. Under the dash exchange rate system, market forces automatically adjust the surplus and deficit in the balance of payments account. It's just for 1 mark. If you have done those chapters, balance of payments, balance of trade, you must have learned 3 exchange rate systems. Number 1, flexible or floating exchange system. Number 2, fixed exchange rate system. And number 3, managed floating. So we have seen in the flexible or floating exchange rate system, the exchange rate system is automatically determined in the market by the forces of demand and supply of foreign exchange. So this says under the dash exchange rate system, market forces automatically adjust the surplus and deficit in the balance of payments account. So obviously it's the flexible or floating exchange rate where the demand and supply determine the market, that is a foreign exchange rate. So that is the answer. Here they're given the options. I'll read out what answer. A, fixed. No, that's the wrong answer. B, flexible. Yes, under the flexible exchange rate system. C, managed floating. No. D, dirty floating. So here I put the answer here in the fill in the blanks. Under the flexible exchange rate system, market forces, that's the market force of demand and supply of foreign exchange, automatically adjust the surplus and deficit in the balance of payments account. So I gave you a brief idea. In the next video, we'll be discussing more questions and interpreting. So the most important thing is, please don't just do rote learning and learn some important questions. Understand the subject. Read the textbooks, or if you have some tutor or the teacher helping you or your school teacher, so sit with him. Understand the subject, how the foreign exchange rate is determined, what is autonomous, what is induced, and what is flexible exchange rate, and all kinds of things above the line and below the line items. Sorry, understanding the subject is more important than just learning a few topics. Once you've understood the subject, then it becomes a smooth sailing for you. So that's all we have time for today. In the next video, we'll be continuing with more questions. Keep watching all the videos so that the interpretation of the sample paper becomes much easier and you'll become more confident to answer any type of questions. I repeat again, they give you paper cuttings or they give you some passage and ask you questions. So don't be scared, it's not something new. The answers are there in the passage itself. Find out. I wish you all the best. Work hard as much as you can before you go to your final board exams. Best of luck. Bye bye guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to share, subscribe and like our videos. You'll be getting more ideas how to answer the question paper. Bye bye.